Welcome back to Eco Solutions, and we're talking about green technologies. Now, we are awash in inventions aimed at helping the environment, but it's not always about inventing new things. Sometimes it's about making do with what we already have. Our next story is about that. Now, Nenpi mania means mileage mania in Japanese. It's an idea that's pushing green technology to its limits. He calls himself the Shogun. Takashi Toya belongs to the growing underground movement of mileage maniacs. Its members go that extra mile for fuel efficiency. Their weapon of choice, the hybrid car. The Shogun has hacked into the car's onboard computer. Here, he's tricking the car into thinking the engine is already warmed up. This means the car will start using the battery instead of the fuel-consuming engine. Tricks like this help the Shogun to bypass the car's original programming, making it even more environmentally friendly. On the open road, he saves fuel by any means necessary. This is the push and glide technique. Guided by a series of monitors, he uses the gas pedal to carefully maneuver between charging the car's battery and using it up. He insists that by driving with his big toe, he can keep his hybrid off the gas engine. On the occasional visit to the petrol station, he is often bemused by customers filling up their gas-guzzling vehicles.
I don't want the petrol price to go up, but I do wonder why people drive cars which consume so much petrol.
Even before Toyota launches its model, the Shogun has already converted his hybrid into a plug-in. This means it uses even less fuel.
I think that the hybrid car is an interim. I mean the step between a car which uses gasoline and one which doesn't. So the next car will be one that doesn't need gasoline at all.
Today, more than 40 mileage maniacs have converged with their green fleet just outside Tokyo. Many have traveled long and far for today's gathering, but it's clear that getting there was half the fun. The Shogun is taking pointers from Potpourri, the alleged world record holder. She claims to have driven more than 2,500 kilometers, or 1,500 miles, on one tank of gas. For many, this hobby has created an awareness about the environment.
People who used to love to race were turned on to eco-friendly driving through this car. People who didn't care much about the environment started realizing it through the Prius.
While some here are motivated by the environment, others are drawn by good old competition. At the end of each meeting, a race puts each mileage maniac to the test. The winner isn't the fastest, but the greenest. Now, earlier we looked at a solar charger, but if the sun don't shine, what's a green girl to do? Well, how about this? Now, the Hymeni is a wind-powered charger for your iPod, PDA, cell phone, and digital camera. You need a good breeze to make it work, so let's find a few ways to give it a whirl. You can strap it to your arm and go for a jog, stick it out the window of a car and pray it doesn't fall, or simply attach it to your bicycle. Now, you have to ride your bike for about 1 hour to generate an extra 15 minutes of talk time on your mobile phone. That's a lot of time, that's a lot of effort. I'm afraid this little gadget is more hype than hope. Innovation can also mean using nature's gifts to help solve our environmental problems. And that's exactly what our next story is about. Miles O'Brien has more.
There was a time when city planners thought the concrete solution to the challenge of allowing rivers and cities to coexist was, well, concrete. But times have changed, and the experts now are paying more attention to Mother Nature's blueprints.
What we're trying to do here is use an ecological approach that's lower tech, but also is more sustainable and more ecologically friendly.
Curtis Richardson is head of the Duke University Wetland Center. For the past 3 years, he and his students have re-engineered a polluted stretch of creek that flows through the campus without calling in the cement mixers.
So this is really a very novel way of trying to treat using Mother Nature's environmental services.
The problem was runoff. Whenever it rained, all kinds of bad chemicals, from fertilizers to pesticides, would flow straight into Sandy Creek with nothing to stop them. So Richardson and his students started digging, changing the contours of the land, planting trees, creating a wetland, and building a stormwater reservoir behind an earthen dam.
And this gives you sort of a natural system where the water actually can flow out over the banks and the sediments and nutrients can be retained in the wetlands.
It's nature's way of cleaning up a mess, and it's working. 3 years later, this creek is much cleaner than it was before, and it sure costs a lot less money than pouring all that concrete. Apparently, it's smarter to go with the flow than fight it. Miles O'Brien, CNN.
Up next, a project that aims to help families save money and the environment at the same time. And one day, will we be filling up our gas tanks with pond scum? A new source of biofuel is making big promises for a greener future. That's next on Eco Solutions.